Sherlock Holmes, The Emerald Crown. Chapter 5. You are near the end of your trouble. Holmes and I took a carriage back to Baker Street. He talked about the weather, but of course I wanted to know more about the case. I asked him a number of questions. Is Arthur guilty, do you think? Where are the missing emeralds? But every time Holmes went back to the weather, so I stopped asking my questions and looked out of the window. It was 3 o'clock when we arrived at Baker Street. Holmes walked quickly into the house. I have a lot more work to do on this case, he said, and with that he ran upstairs to his room. After some minutes, he came downstairs in an old coat, a black hat, and some dirty brown shoes. He looked in the hall mirror. "What do you think, Watson?" he asked. "Very good, Holmes," I answered. "You are the picture of a working man." "Thank you, Watson," smiled Holmes. "I'm sorry, but you can't come with me this time. We'll see you later this afternoon. Goodbye." So let's stop here for a moment. When did Holmes and Watson go back to Baker Street? Well, according to what we read, it was 3 o'clock when they returned to Baker Street. So when did they go back to Baker Street? So they went back at 3 o'clock. Now, Watson told Holmes that he was a picture of a working man. Discuss. He told him that after he came downstairs with his old coat and black hat and dirty brown shoes. He looked at the whole mirror and he asked him what he thinks about what he's wearing. So he liked what Holmes wore and he told him that he's a picture of a working man. So this was the moment when Watson said that Holmes he was a picture of a working man. He pulled his hat down over his face and went out into the street. It was nearly 6 o'clock when Holmes came back. "Hello, Watson," he said happily. "Can you take this?" He gave me an old black shoe. "But what's it for?" I asked. "I can't explain now," he said. "I'm going out again, to the West End this time. I'm going to be late home, I think, so don't wait for me." "And how's it all going?" I asked. "All right, I went over to Streatham again this afternoon, but I didn't call at the house," he said. "But I mustn't sit here and talk. I must take off these old things. I need to be Sherlock Holmes once again." Holmes was very pleased with his work at that day. I could see. He went upstairs and 5 minutes later the front door closed behind him. He was out on his detective work once again. I sat and waited all evening for Holmes to come back. When it was midnight, I went up to bed. I wasn't surprised. Holmes was often out late. When he investigated the case, he was sometimes away for days and nights. What time did he come in? I don't know, but he was there at breakfast. He had coffee in one hand and a big smile on his face. "Good morning, Watson," he said. "Sorry to start breakfast without you, but Huldah is coming here at 9. You remember that, surely?" "But it's after 9 now," I answered, "and I heard someone at the front door a short time ago." Just then the maid brought in our friend, Mr. Holder. He walked slowly into the room. I pulled out a chair for him, and he fell into it. I was very surprised when I saw him. His hair was whiter than before, and his face looked very tired. Why is this happening to me? He asked. Only 2 days ago I was a happy man. Now everything in my world looks black. This morning one more terrible thing happened in my house. My niece Mary left me. Left you? Asked Holmes. Yes, she wasn't at breakfast this morning, and there was this letter for me on the hall table. Huldah read the letter to us. Dear Uncle, you and Arthur are in trouble because of me. I can't stay any longer in your house. I must leave you and never come back again. I'm going to move far away from here, so please don't look for me. Thank you for all the things you did for me. Your loving Mary. What is this letter all about? Asked Huldah. This is all for the best, I'm sure, said Holmes. You know, Mr. Huldah, you're near the end of your trouble, I believe. So the name of the chapter is named after the situation that Mr. Huldah is in right now. So he is near the end of his trouble, according to what Holmes said to him. So yes, he is near the end of his trouble, and we're gonna find out why he is near the end of his trouble. So why was Watson surprised when he saw Huldah? He was surprised because his hair was whiter than before and his face looked very tired. Besides, when he walked slowly into the room, Watson brought him the chair and he fell in it. I can tell this terrible news has affected him way too much. What did Huldah show to Holmes and Watson? He showed them the letter that Mary wrote to him when she left that day. Now, what's the letter all about? This is what question 3 wants us to answer and wants us to talk about. So write short notes about Mary's letter. It says, Huldah and Arthur are in trouble because of her. So she's leaving house and will never come back again. She's going to move far away from Huldah, asking him not to look for her. She's thanking him for everything he did for her. So the letter consists of 4 parts. The first part, she's saying that Huldah and his son are in trouble because of her. So this is why, which leads us to the second part. So this is why she left the house. She said that she's leaving and will never come back again. Now the third part is that she is moving far away from here, and in doing so she asked Huldah not to look for her. She's going to move far away from Huldah's house, so she's asking him not to look for her. In the end, she's thanking him for all the things he did for her. Do you know something about the emeralds, Mr. Holmes? Asked Huldah. Perhaps, said Holmes. Is £3,000 a lot to get the emeralds back, do you think? No, said Huldah. 3,000 is nothing. Well, write me a check for £3,000 then, said Holmes. Huldah wrote the check and gave it to Holmes. The detective suddenly took out the missing corner of the crown from his pocket. You have it! Shouted Huldah. Yes, I do. And now you need to do one more thing for somebody, said Holmes. And what's that? Asked Huldah. You need to say sorry to your son, Arthur, said Holmes. Is he innocent then? asked Hulda. I told you this yesterday, said Holmes, and I say it again today. Are you sure of it now? Asked Hulda. Yes, I am, said Holmes. Then let's go and tell Arthur at once. It's all right, he knows, said Holmes. When I learned the truth, I went to talk to him. I told him my story and he said, You're right, Mr. Holmes. Well, Holmes, cried Hulda, so what really happened that terrible night? You must tell me now. So, this is the end of the chapter for now. Before I continue, I forgot to tell you what a check really means. A check is a paper from a bank. And what does that paper tell you, or what is this paper about? This check promises a person that money will be given to him. A certain amount of money will be given to him. So this is a paper from the bank, promises a person to get, so that it promises the bank will give him a certain amount of money. So this is a check. Now let's come on to the following. Starting with, I can't explain now. Holmes said that to Watson when he asked him about the old black shoe. When he brought him the old black shoe, he asked what's it for. So he wanted to know what did Holmes bring that shoe for. So he said, I can't explain now. Now we have, why is this happening to me? Hulda said that to Holmes and Watson when he fell into the chair, when he came into the house and fell into the chair. He wanted to know why all the terrible things happened to him as his niece, Mary, left him that morning. So when she left that morning, he wanted to know why all these terrible things happened to him. So this is why he said, why is this happening to me, when he met Holmes and Watson when he went to their home. Now we have the last quote. You need to say sorry to your son. Of course, Holmes said that to Hulda when he gave him the missing emeralds after writing the check. So he asked him to apologize to his son for not believing him and calling him a thief. So this is the end of today's chapter. It wasn't really that long. It passed in a blink of an eye. So if there is anything missing, don't forget to tell me. If you got any questions, don't be shy. Write it down in the comments below. I'll see you when we read and solve questions for chapter 6. So stay tuned. Don't miss this out. Farewell.